Hey everyone! So I recently finished book 2 of The Wheel of Time, The Great Hunt. And just reiterating for anyone watching this in the future, I am reading these 2 books after having watched the first season of The Wheel of Time. And as I'm recording this, the second season is coming out in a few months. The second trailer just came out a few days ago. And just first off, there won't be any spoilers in this first part of the video. I'll let you know when I do start going into spoiler territory. Thank you to everyone who liked and commented on my first Wheel of Time video. The comments ranged all over in opinion. Some like the show, some absolutely despise the show, think it's the worst thing ever. I'm kind of in the middle. I understand what a miracle it is that anything gets made. I have my own personal projects and I know how hard it is to actually get something to the point where it's out in the real world. The path from idea to actual delivery is fraught with landmines. And I also like Brandon Sanderson's perspective that the show is not necessarily telling what is in the books, but it's actually like another turning of the wheel. So it's similar, but things are changed and moved around. So I said in my first video, I thought I'd read this and I just couldn't remember it. Turns out, I have never read this book. There was nothing that jogged any sort of memory as I was reading it. I don't know why I thought I'd read it. I think there was something else that I read at the same time that had something to do with ships. And so the fact that there were ships at the end of the first season, I thought, yeah, that triggered some sort of memory. But this is not that book. I had heard that the first season covered some of book 2, but after seeing the trailer and watching the first season and reading this again, I'm kind of a bit mystified by that. Season 1 was pretty much the first book. The season 2 trailer seems to have elements of a lot of what's in this book. I guess the main thing was bringing the character of Leandrin into the first season. Obviously, she doesn't appear anywhere in the first book, if I recall correctly. She's quite a main character in this book. And I think it made total sense for them to introduce her earlier into the TV series. Now, I want to talk about how good Jordan is at descriptive writing. I have mild aphantasia. If I tell you to imagine an apple on a scale of 1 to 5, where 1, you can fully see this apple, the color, the texture, the shape, and 5, there's just absolutely nothing. It's just black. I'm kind of about 3 or 4. I have this kind of vague, shadowy feeling that there's something there. It's like I try to see it and like there's a brief flash of what it looks like and then it just goes. I can't seem to hold things as a constant in my mind's eye. And it's largely devoid of color. So I get vague, shadowy glimpses of characters and things. I can, however, picture 3D relationships. I have a sense of where things are in relation to each other. And I also enjoy descriptions of movement. All this is to say that there's something about Jordan's writing that is very visual to me. The way he describes scenes helps me visualize exactly what's going on. He gives a sense of place and character movement like leaping on a horse is very well done. I'm not yet up to book 8 where tugging braids and smoothing skirts is annoying. On the other hand, some of the character descriptions, like what people's faces look like and the clothing descriptions, that's kind of lost on me because I can't visualize it very well. And when I pick up the book the next day, it's gone. Now, a bunch of random thoughts I had while reading, and this is your spoiler warning. Heavy spoilers from here on. As I was reading it, the second book seemed to follow the first book in terms of the pace of action. It was like there was a slow build up and then around page 80 there's suddenly this burst of action which was very exciting. I love the brown Arjas. They're so unconcerned with politics just after the facts. They're very fun to read. Now about Rand being the Dragon Reborn, I mean it was pretty clear that in book 1 he was going to be the Dragon Reborn. Most of the POVs are from his perspective, but by page 130 of this book, it's clear he definitely is the Dragon Reborn. It's kind of odd that they decided to have some sort of mystery in the TV show. I don't know how long they're going to keep that up in season 2, whether they reveal that he is the one or they're going to keep going with this idea that, it could be any of the people from Unanswered. Some people in the comments have mentioned keeping a spreadsheet of names, and I can kind of see why, especially when it comes to the Aes Sedai. I kind of think Jordan didn't do a very good job with the names, especially when you read them on the page. A lot of them are very similar, like Alana, Anaya, and Alviaran, and they don't come across as very unique characters, so I found myself constantly flipping to the glossary to figure out who is this person that he's talking about again. I gotta tell you, I don't really enjoy the scenes with Nynaeve and the Aes Sedai. They're just nasty to each other. Hey, so Rand, Loyal, and Huron are in this kind of stone dreamworld kind of place. And is that a plane contrail Rand is seeing in the sky? No, don't answer that. No spoilers in the comments, please. Also, this character Celine that they meet in the kind of parallel dimension, I kept thinking the whole time of the quote, "Curse your sudden but inevitable betrayal." So Moraine's talking to Lan about being passed on to Morel and then possibly another Aes Sedai, Nynaeve, I don't know. I must admit I don't like the thought of Moraine dying. So then we get the Sean chant, and funnily enough, they reminded me of the world of Teliwan from Raymond E. Feist's Magician and Empire novels, which were written several years before this book actually came out. And I had to laugh when the High Lord had a cup of caf, which is what they have in the Star Wars EU novels because they don't want to say the word coffee. And once the party got to Steading Sofu, I thought, the Yogia are kind of like the Wheel of Time equivalent of elves. It was really interesting to see the alternate world and futures as they travel through the portal stone. I remember seeing that in the TV series. And wow, Leandrin's betrayal was a bit shocking. Perhaps it was inevitable, but it was still very well done. Hey, there's a mention of the Towers of Midnight, the 13th book. Don't know what it is yet, but I assume we'll find out at some point. Ingtar's sacrifice at the end was very emotional. It's a very exciting last 100 pages with Jordan kind of weaving together all the plot threads. And Jordan seems to like throwing in some romance with his exciting conclusions. Is this a love triangle we see between Rand and Min and Egwene? Or is it a square if we include Lanfear? So, unanswered questions, please don't answer these in the comments. Where is Celine? What will be the result of the civil war in Cairhien? There's this huge statue on the way to Cairhien. Are we going to get to see that used somehow? In which book will Loyal get home to Steading Shamtai? When will we, or will we ever learn why the true source can't be accessed in a Steading? What does Sungwood actually do? When are we going to get to visit the Aiel Waste? Is Liandrin of the Black Aja? It seems so, but it's not quite definitive. And what's going to happen to Liandrin? Whoa, so Min sees a red-hot iron and an axe above Elaine's head. So is she going to get together with Perrin? Will Padden Fane go to Umansfield? Where will Bael Doman go, and how will he figure in future books? What has happened to High Lady Suroth? Will Matt be cured? I think that's pretty much a given. Will the Sean Chan come back, or will some of the main characters travel over the ocean? I guess we've seen the Haline, but will we see the other two? I guess so. Now that they have the horn, can't they just keep blowing it whenever they're in trouble? Or is this going to be one of those plot-killing devices that never gets used again, like Hermione's time turner? How did Moraine know to go to Toman Head, and how did she get there? And that final cliffhanger, he made his decision. I mean, that makes you want to go straight on to book 3. I imagine it must have been torture waiting for the 3rd book to come out. I mean, I think I know what he'll decide, but still, it's not definite. When I read the 3rd book and make another video, I might recap and see which of these questions have been answered. Now, something I forgot to rate in my first video, the maps. This is the main map in my copy of The Eye of the World. It's the paperback version. I'd say the main map is fairly decent, although it's a bit messy. The first book has the bonus of 3 extra maps. So the first map is just this tiny section here, which expands out to this. So this is one of the areas around Umansfield being here, of course. And without saying anything, it shows a zoomed in view of a small area of the map, which kind of tells you that for the main characters, this has been their entire world. It's kind of like the Shire map in the beginning of The Lord of the Rings. Most of them have never even been as far as this river up here. Jordan has a good sense of direction and distances, and following where the characters travel on the map is always very straightforward. The only exception is the section after Shadar Logoth, which doesn't even appear here. And this section here gets expanded out into this map. And again, you can't see Shadar Logoth over here. And there's time spent on the river going down here, so that's entirely off the map. And then Perrin is kind of going all over the place here. And then of course Rand and Matt are going all the way along here, and there's no indication of the small villages, but at least you get 4 kings, and of course they arrive in Camelin. And then finally we get a zoomed in map of this section here, which is kind of odd that he's got it on an angle, so north is this way. But it's a pretty cool map. So all in all, I give the maps 4 out of 5. They're pretty good. Not excellent, but pretty darn good. And just a brief note, in book 2, of course, we get to see some of this. We get to see them travel down this side of the map here, get to Cairhien, and then there's a bit of Tyr, and then they're way over on Toman Head over here. So there's still a lot of map to explore. After reading the first book, I thought, how can there be another 13 books? But I think I'm beginning to see why. All in all, this is a great outing. It's not quite 5 stars for me, but it's a very definite 4. Now, to continue this experiment a little bit further, I think I'm going to wait to watch season 2 before reading book 3. Apparently season 2 will cover a large chunk of what's in book 2 and book 3. After that, I'll probably forge ahead and read the rest of the books, unless enough of you want me to wait. So thanks again for watching. Keep those comments coming, and I'll see you in the next one. The true source can't be accessed in a steadings. And once the party got to Stedding Sofu, wow,